every year at the Twin City Model Railroad Museum is called Night Trains. And with more information on that is Paul Gruetzman. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. And you gave me some video of the night trains, so I think we'll just run that while we talk a little bit about the night trains. So what are night trains?
Night trains is kind of a special time of the year, and we bring in special passenger trains that are lit up. A lot of our members like building cars, which I have one of them here as an example. And when you put the interiors and lighting in there, you don't really appreciate that with the room lit up. Mm-hmm. But if the room lights are dimmed down, it takes on a whole different atmosphere. And so the guy started putting lights in the buildings and along the streets, and they even have a few cars with headlights and stuff like that in it. It's like Disneyland. It just changes the whole complexion of a model railroad.
Yeah, and it's beautiful down there at night. And like you said, there's a different ambiance because you're in the kind of dark when you go in there.
Each year we try to add something in this train that's running right now as a project that my brother's been working on for about 7 years. And that's all done with fiber optics. Each of those locomotives have about 700 holes drilled in them. Oh. And the fibers are moved out through the hole, then you epoxy it from the backside and trim it off. Uh-huh. And there's battery operated, one light bulb in each car. And that's one of the trains that we keep adding to.
Now, when is Night Trains?
Night Train starts Thanksgiving Saturday and runs every Saturday except for if Christmas falls on Saturday or something. And then runs to the end of February. And that's pretty much from 6 till 9 each of those nights. We start running out of dark.
So that's when you.
Yeah, we end at the end of February. It's starting to get too much light at 6 o'clock. So
sure.
And we're tired. It's a lot of extra work.
Sure. Now, do you make changes in it from kind of the Christmas theme to a winter theme at all, or is it pretty much the same?
Right after January 1st, we changed over from a nativity scene in our little town, and we put up an ice castle, kind of in favor of the winter carnival.
Oh, sure.
And it's a nice change.
So this is a great place to bring kids. You know, you kind of run out of things to do in the winter to entertain them, but this is really a fun thing for the whole family.
It is a good place for the kids to come, and if the snow does get in, we've got about 4 or 5 models of snow removal equipment, so we'll keep the tracks clear.
Keep the tracks clear. So okay, and there's the ice castle you were talking about. Okay, well, you brought in some trains today, so why don't we take a look at those and you can tell us about them.
Okay, one of the things that really appeals to me in the hobby is building things and making reproductions of actual models, and belonging to a museum like that, you learn a lot of things from the old-timers. And I didn't build this caboose, but that's an example of a model that a fella built back in the 50s. And I learned a lot by looking at it. And so I built this passenger car here.
Oh.
And this one is one of the trains that operates at night trains. And actually the roof comes off so that we can service it and change the light bulbs, which are in the inside. And it has all the interior details. The kitchen is down on this end. I think they're making breakfast. And here's where the servers would come in, and then it would seat 48 people. And so this would be a typical passenger car. This particular model would have operated on the Northern Pacific in 1947 up until 1954 on the North Coast Limited. And when they got new streamline equipment, then they put these on the secondary routes.
And you built this?
I built that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a few parts that was supposedly a kit, but once you get familiar with what they call scratch building, you end up making most of your own parts because it just fits together better.
Sure.
So.
And tell us about the engine you have there.
This is one of my all-time favorites. It started out that there was a kit like this, and but it was in very poor condition, and so I started out with the kit, and I was able to save the wheels and part of the frame and stuff like that, but as I got further along, I decided that, well, it needed a different cab, so I made that, and it turned out pretty good, and the boiler wasn't that good, so I made a new boiler, and by the time I was done, there's not too many parts of that original kit left on there, but that's what makes it interesting. So
Do you build a lot of the trains that you have?
I do. It's the part that I really like. I like doing the research, what the cars look like inside, or the cabooses or locomotives, and just try to reproduce it as authentic as you can. And I think for the better part, the museum part that's been at Bandana Square for 25 years, the buildings and bridges and everything reflects a very accurate recreation of something real, which kind of separates it from an awful lot of models where they buy a bridge at a hobby shop and then make it fit into the railroad. We've tried to recreate the actual scene. So.
Well, Paul, thank you for coming in today and telling us about night trains and for bringing these to show us.
Thank you for the invitation. Hope you can make it over.
I'm going to try.